got Sean Rose. He's going to be talking to us about the stories making the news this week. Sean, how you doing? How's it going?
Good evening, viewers. Welcome, Edgerenka. This evening, we're going to look at the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. Earlier today, the BVI hosted the opening ceremony for the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court's law year 2013-2014 at the Multipurpose Sports Complex in Roetown. And delivering the main address, Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Honorable Dame Janice Pereira, of course, Virgin Gorda born, Virgin Islands native, and the first female Chief Justice of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, used the occasion to highlight several areas of key jurisprudence in the OECS sub-region. But she made a number of strong statements, of course, as you would expect from the Chief Justice. So we can highlight a few. One of which was her argument that the judicial system in the Eastern Caribbean, to begin with, is an agent for socio-economic development within the sub-region. Her argument is that it is often overlooked, but the court system, the rule of law and order, and having that maintained is critical to ensuring that our countries develop. She said that the fact that the court plays its role in ensuring that law and order are maintained provides an incentive for foreign investors and indeed local investors alike. It basically creates an environment for all of us to live and to do business. And she also spoke about a number of other things, such as a project called Halls of Justice. And while highlighting that point, she made some very interesting remarks. Of course, we know for some time now that the issue of backlog of cases has been, plaguing our judicial system in the sub-region, and a number of people are forced to wait significant, a great deal of time, basically, just to hear their cases heard in court. In some cases, persons are incarcerated and they never have their day in court until maybe 2 or 3 years, while incarcerated. And in some instances too, the time that they spend actually outlasts the amount of time they would have spent had they been charged and sent to prison to serve time. She mentioned, for example, as it relates to the Halls of Justice project, that there is a need for improved structures throughout the sub-region. She said in all of the member states, the buildings used to house the court are archaic, and in many instances, they actually violate health and safety law regulations and standards. And that, she says, actually affects the overall productivity of the court as well. And one can expect that, because if you're working in an environment that is really, inadequate, then it really inhibits your ability to produce at a very efficient level. She also spoke about issues relating to some revision of the criminal justice, the criminal division of the court, because there are 4 divisions: the civil division, the family division, and the commercial division. She said that they're looking at really improving the efficiency and ensuring that the court is a much more vibrant and technologically advanced institution throughout the Caribbean to more or less rise to the current trends in the global technological industry.
Well, Sean, that's certainly a lot that she's talked about there. But one of the things that stuck in my mind is the length of time that persons have to wait to go through the judicial process, and to have someone incarcerated before trial for a time that extends what their sentence would normally be certainly must be a violation of their human rights. And did she mention what steps the court is going to take to remedy that situation?
Well, I know of that particular scenario, and she didn't mention that specifically, but of course the backlog inadvertently creates that sort of a situation, and folks are, of course, citizens are arrested throughout the sub-region and are forced to to serve time before they are actually sentenced. What she did speak to, though, was the need for improved technological advancement within the court system. She spoke about, for instance, having simultaneous sittings of the court when these structures, these courthouses are built or rebuilt, and can take into consideration the need for more than one halls, for example. As we know now, the court house here in Rotong doesn't accommodate for much persons in the court itself, nor does it allow for any multiple sittings. We know efforts have been made to have sittings on Virgin Gorda. We are aware of the magistracy at John's Hole and so forth. Other efforts were made in the past. But yeah, at the end of the day, as the Chief Justice mentioned, the lack of adequate resources, both human resources and physical resources, really impedes the work of the court.
It would seem to me that the backlog is and the length of time that persons have to wait to be tried and to get a fair hearing in court contradicts her statement of a stable court and a court that helps to generate economic activity in the region. Certainly an investor looking at that situation where you have a large backlog and persons incarcerated for long periods of time would think that if they had to have some sort of adjudication, how long will they have to wait to get that their case is settled, especially if it includes large sums of money and have an impact on their business. And that's one aspect of it. That perhaps is the financial aspect of it. But the instability and the anxiety that it breeds in the community and breeds in the families of those persons who are unfairly or unjustly incarcerated. Certainly that seems to be a contradiction. Did she put any proposals forward, make any recommendations to the various territories or countries to have these situations remedied in an expeditious manner?
Definitely, and she did say that all of the heads of government throughout the sub-region, all 9 member states, have pretty much bought into the need for improved structures to ensure that the court develops and becomes an efficient system to avoid these, as you rightly put, Edgewenka, these cases of violating persons' fundamental human rights. And I think, as she pointed out, this project, the Halls of Justice project, has been on the table for some time. And one can look into what the Chief Justice is saying and deduce from the argument that there has been a lack of political will to ensure that these, as she puts it, archaic structures are modernized, that the court systems throughout the court structures throughout the Caribbean are improved. We know that a number of projects have been embarked on by various governments in the sub-region, but we are yet to see anyone building a new court structure, a new building to house the court. In the case of the Virgin Islands in particular, though, the commercial court is one new structure. Of course, it's a new entity. And I think that as it relates to the point you mentioned earlier about the contribution made by the court in terms of its financial significance, I think the commercial court is one such, because it does help, for example, in ensuring that the financial services industry here in the Virgin Islands and in other member states is sustained, and there is that legal framework in place that allows for efficiency in terms of litigation and so forth. And I think too that is a valuable argument that the Chief Justice has made in terms of the value of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court at both the civil and the appellate level. Because at the end of the day, when you look at, for example, tourism and financial services, you recognize that you do need to maintain law and order in your society, to have a stable tourism industry, and also to have a stable financial services industry. You want to have, as we have witnessed between the G20 and of course G5 nations and these territories, the fight over the financial services industry. So you do need that strong regulatory body in place, and hence the role of the commercial court and of course the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court on a whole. But we seldom hear about the role being played by the court in that regard. And many people would, of course, prop up the work done in agriculture and manufacturing and so forth. But not very often do you hear the role of the court being celebrated as a source of socio-economic development in the region.
And certainly it is sad because it would indicate, her drawing this to our attention would indicate that the governments of these various territories have not prioritized the need for improvements in the judicial system.
Yes.
To help to facilitate that economic growth and development and the stability of the various countries.
I think that's an indisputable fact, yes.
Yeah. Anything else happening in the news?
Well, of course, like I said, the Chief Justice, she spoke for close to an hour, so she made a number of points. But I think what we can now draw our attention to is the completion or the near completion of the People's Hospital, the modern wing of the People's Hospital. It would be interesting for you now, Edrenka, to put on your PR hat and tell us what is really happening there. We were expecting a completion in August, and we were told that by October we should see a handing over of the keys some time ago.
Well, you're tugging at my heartstrings now there, Sean. But I remember during the minister's walkthrough in April, he did mention that the scheduled date for handover was September, but he was thinking that perhaps we needed to give the contractors the extra month of October to hand over for various reasons. It seems that I had an opportunity to take a look on Tuesday, last Tuesday, and it seems on schedule to be handed over in next month in October. So I'm looking forward to that. It's a fantastic structure, and I'm sort of melancholy about the fact that Virgin Islanders didn't get an opportunity generally to see the magnitude of this project. I think it has to be by far the most complicated of projects that we've undertaken. It far surpasses our airport terminal project. I can't think of any government project that we've undertaken that is this complicated and this magnitude. And so you get to understand how difficult and how challenging it was to get it completed, albeit I should say, notwithstanding the challenges with the earlier contractors. But certainly these contractors, Padman Construction and his associates, have done a fantastic job in finishing the hospital, and from my perspective, it's something that the territory generally is going to be very, very proud of. It's, I would say, second to few in the region, if any at all, and perhaps it's right on par with hospitals around the world.
Edrenka, you've been inside the building, I'm sure. You were there in April. What differences can you tell us now?
Well, the floors are done, the wall coverings are completed, some of the equipment that has to go onto the wall is attached. There's running water, and of course the air conditioner has been there for a while. The elevators are in and working. It's the cabinets are in. You have some real modern looking operating theaters, nice Korean finish reception areas. You know, it's really really pretty, if to call it you know, to use that term. And then I mean, you know, it's a glamorous looking structure, and I think that it's something that we can be proud of. It costs a lot of money. We made some mistakes along the way, but I think finally it's going to be finished, and then the commissioning phase will be ongoing. I think certain aspects of the commissioning phase is already you know, going on. You have some of the equipment has been purchased already. Some is still to be purchased. Some of the furniture needs to be purchased, and we need to actually get BV Islanders involved in contributing to the furnishing of the hospital. Persons who want to give donate a bed, donate a $50 million. I think let me just be serious a little bit.
Yes.
We need about $10 million to furnish. To furnish the hospital, and so we, you know, I think some community members who have some extra cash can make some donations. You can have your name up in the hospital, and I think something is going to be developed. A foundation is going to be developed where we can make contributions to the furnishing the hospital. I know there's some people, members of the community that has had some tremendous experiences in the hospital as far as care is concerned. And I know that the People's Hospital take a lot of licks for some of the services and some of the interaction, customer interaction with the staff and so on. You know, you hear a lot about the bad things, but there are a lot of good things happening in the hospital as well. And you have a lot of persons who have had really good experiences and who want to contribute. I know my father, for example, he is itching to make his contribution. And I know many other persons in the community who want to make a contribution to the hospital. And I think we need to set up, and I think we will be set up a system, a facility where community members can feel proud in donating to such a magnificent structure and a magnificent achievement that the people of this territory is about to be completed.
And I think that, as we just discussed, the need for advanced and modern buildings really helps us in improving our efficiency at all levels, and I'm sure that we can expect to see a more efficient health service, because with this adequate, you know, the adequate facilities available now at this modern building, it would be much easier to actually, you know, serve the community in an efficient way.
Well, before we go to the break, Sean, I just want to say that this facility and the modern equipment, when we get the proper human resources in place, is going to be an immediate improvement in the quality of healthcare in the territory. With the ongoing training of staff in customer relations, with the performance enhancement unit that is in place, that can deal with complaints. You know, as I said, with the training of the staff in customer relations, the auditing for efficiency in the emergency room, all these things that's happening with HEMA coming on board to bring specialist care to the territory, where it lessens our need to go abroad, spend that airline money, that airfare, the hotel bills, and so on. It's going to be a marked improvement in health services, quality of health services in the territory. We gotta go. We gotta take a break for a word from our sponsors. When we come back, we're gonna come back with the president of the Interact Club, Ms. Katie Ann Johnson, and the public relations officer, Ms. Nia Douglas. Right after these words from our sponsors, keep it locked right here to Spotlight.
Spotlight is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Clarence Thomas Limited, the BVI Tourist Board, and CCT Global Communications.